as an actual final thing that I will have, and I think it's very doable. Hello and welcome, you beautiful people. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. My name is Karina, and today we're going to be talking about how I'm going to be adding some graphic design into my array of services as a professional. And if you can't see from the title, you clicked on this, so you probably saw that and you're like, how the hell that's gonna go, right? Because that's what I'm sitting here thinking. How the hell is that gonna go? With a lot of hope and passion for the matter at hand. We have 3 months. We have 3 months to learn so many new skills that I don't think I've learned in a very, 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 very long time. I have not been in school in over 5 years now. Not to say that all the skills are gained through school. That is not the case whatsoever. However, for me personally, I learn best when there's a person in front of me being present and telling me, if you click this and this and this and this, and that's what happens. And that's actually is turning out not to be the case whatsoever, as this is the second week of my classes. And there's a lot of learning that's happening online, and we're learning. However, now there's a supervision of the process, and there are real-time assignments and projects that are happening that I have to actively put those skills in work for. So rather than just watching YouTube and being, distracted and not paying 100% attention, I'm actually sitting there and being, okay, how do I do this thing? How do we make this thing happen? And how do we make this thing work, right? So can we do it? I have some notes on the side, and I'm just going to be looking at them on occasion just to make sure we're on track and I cover everything that I want to cover in this video. So the first question is, can we do it? And we can try. I think we can. I think we can do it. I think in the end of 3 months, I'm gonna have some really, really cool stuff to show. I also think that I am gonna be living, breathing, existing in the constant mind space of making things and creating things and drawing things. And my brain, the past few days, since I've decided what my projects are gonna look like for this next few months, has been going non-stop with ideas and thoughts and how to implement them and how to make it look good as an actual final thing that I will have. And I think it's very doable. I think it's a lot of work, but I have the time right now. I will say that. It definitely feels more than a full-time job, and I'm okay with that, because once I have this, I can provide those services and have clients who need those things. And I love working with creative people, or people who are generally creative minded but don't necessarily have the skill sets. And I relate to that because that was me for a very long time. So what is my background? That's the next question. My background is marketing, as I mentioned. It is a lot of marketing. I was always the person who would make the PDFs look good. I was always the person who would whip together mock-ups and graphics and images and all of that. I was always, as far as group work goes on projects, I was always that person. And I think a couple times I used the Draw app back in the day, back in early 2000s. I can make things happen with wild tools. And this goes to honorable mention to our friend Canva. That's been my crutch for years. I love it and I hate it. I love it because it makes putting things together easy, but I hate it because it doesn't really provide the actual skill set of doing those things, right? So if I were to put an image and I want the words behind that image, I can't really do that on Canva, or I have to separate say there's a person on that photo, right? I have to then cut the person out, which granted still have to do in Photoshop or InDesign or whichever app I'm going to be using, but there are better tools to be doing that, right? And then I have to layer things and put the text behind, and there's a whole thing. And in Canva, it's just something slightly more advanced and intricate is not quite there, not quite it. And will I be using it as a crutch sometimes? Most likely. However, I really don't want to be as an actual final thing that I will have. And I think it's very doable. I think it's a lot of work, but I have the time right now. I will say that. It definitely feels more than a full-time job, and I'm okay with that because once I have this, I can provide those services and have clients who need those things. And I love working with creative people or people who are generally creative minded but don't necessarily have the skill sets. And I relate to that because that was me for a very long time. So what is my background? That's the next question. My background is marketing, as I mentioned. It is a lot of marketing. I was always the person who would make the PDFs look good. I was always the person who would whip together mock-ups and graphics and images and all of that. I was always, as far as group work goes on projects, I was always that person. And I think a couple times I used the Draw app back in the day, back in early 2000s. I can make things happen with wild tools. And this goes to honorable mention to our friend Canva. That's been my crutch for years. I love it and I hate it. I love it because it makes putting things together easy, but I hate it because it doesn't really provide the actual skill set of doing those things, right? So if I were to put an image and I want the words behind that image, I can't really do that on Canva, or I have to separate say there's a person on that photo, right? I have to then cut the person out, which granted still have to do in Photoshop or InDesign or whichever app I'm going to be using, but there are better tools to be doing that, right? And then I have to layer things and put the text behind, and there's a whole thing. And in Canva, it's just something slightly more advanced and intricate is not quite there, not quite it. And will I be using it as a crutch sometimes? Most likely. However, I really don't want to be a designer who specializes in Canva. That is not what design and designers are to me. Designers are people who can do the Photoshops and the InDesigns and the illustrators. And I don't think that I need to be the best illustrator as far as drawing aspects of it all go to be able to do that. I think I can get away because in the end of the day, all of it is putting shapes together. And I think that was my biggest thing that was holding me back. There was a fear and intimidation of how much of drawing aspects are in there. And now that I'm in it and I'm taking those classes and realizing that it's just putting shapes together and figuring out how to make something look the way you want to by just little outline and a shape and putting objects on top of each other and just making it into an image. And I think that's so cool, and it is making way more sense in my brain now. I don't know why I've never taken a graphic design class before. I really don't, but right now my brain is switching into this kind of thinking, and I'm trying to, every time I am looking at something and I'm thinking of something that I need to draw, I'm like, okay, this is a circle and this is kind of not a square, but it's rounded. So just using lines and objects and shapes to be able to put this together. So yeah, I think it's just really exciting. I'm just really stoked about it all. And I'm stoked about the fact that it starts making sense in my brain, the way it operates and the actual work that goes into it, because in my mind before it was just really intimidating to get into it and it just felt really scary. And now I'm like, no, this I got. I can totally do this, which is so exciting. As I mentioned earlier, I have not opened Photoshop in years. I never used Illustrator before, and InDesign, I've opened it a couple times. I looked at it, I was just like, ha! Oh my god, that's so much. And then I just closed it just as quickly as I opened it. So right now, because of all those things and me literally taking a portfolio class where I'm supposed to be doing this for years and having projects, we are doing a very raw dog kind of crash course situation where I am actively living, breathing, existing in the state of creating things. I am looking at typography videos, I am looking at design history and different Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, InDesign, all of those apps and their tools. And I personally learn best when I am just thrown into the water. That is actually, not ironically, how I learned to swim. My little floaty vest ended up dying. It got a hole in it and deflated. And my parents were like, we're not getting a new one. That's what it's like to grow up in Russia. They were like, fucking figure it out. And I learned how to swim. So we are learning how to swim in the most aggressive way possible by just doing it all the time. Literally continuously, over and over and over again. And I think we can do it. I think we have a lot. With the amount of time that I'm putting into it, I think there is a very good track on which that all should work really well. So which classes am I taking? I'm taking 2 graphic design classes. I'm taking a portfolio class and intro to graphic design. So I am learning the basics while putting a whole lovely website and the presentation and everything together. And I am taking 2 video editing classes, hence why this all will be documented. And I think this is a great opportunity for me to really start off things on my YouTube channel and take you on this journey with me, because I have not been happier in a very long time, and that's just really exciting. And I want to share that, and I want to share that experience and going to school as an adult and not feeling intimidated by the teachers or scared or unsure of asking questions and things like this. Just showing up and getting what you need to get out of it, because there is a very specific result that you're looking for out of all of it. And there's literally, Granted, I also think that I got very lucky with the professors that I do have. I think all of them are genuinely there to help us grow and help us become better and support us during that. And I think that not all educators are that way. However, again, I got really lucky with every single one of my professors. I think they're all truly fucking fantastic. And I am very, very excited for all the things that can come out of it. So again, 2, Intro to Graphic Design, Portfolio, which we're gonna talk about in a second, and video editing, heavy amounts of time spent on video editing will be happening, which is the biggest reason why I don't even, why this has not been happening for years. This, again, I don't know why I haven't taken those classes, because that is how I learn. There has to be some sort of external situation that is making me do things in a timely manner, and that has not happened yet, and I truly do not know why. There was also a pandemic that was happening, so I think online classes are just not my thing, and I really enjoy being in person. I literally go in person for my online class because we do a combination of 3 classes together, and I'm the only person who's like, I don't want to be on Zoom. There are people in there, I want to be a part of that group. I will be on Zoom with the people in my class, but we are actively engaging with other 2 classes that are meeting in person. Why would I not be engaging with them in real life versus looking at a classroom through a Zoom screen? That makes no sense to me. That's not how I operate whatsoever. And yeah, social media / journalism class with more writing, more pictures, more videos, more content, more editing, more graphics creation for those posts, for the socials and such. So what projects do we have? And this is going to be an accountability thing because A, I already decided that those projects are happening, and B, we can keep track of those as we go and see how they progress and see how they develop. So for my portfolio, there are six main things. So I also do photography, so there's going to be a photography folder with a portfolio of my portraits predominantly, but some architecture pictures that I feel fairly proud of to showcase. Then we're going to have a video editing folder, which is going to be some of this stuff and probably more stuff for the newspaper and more stuff for my personal Instagram and shorts and more short content things as well. So then we will have website design and full branding. So I also transitioned into personal training, and I have still been doing that for almost 3.5 years now. I still continue to do it, and I want to do a rebrand. I want a full change of how my brand is perceived online, and I decided that this is a great opportunity to showcase website design and logo design and graphics and blogs and all those things like that, and maybe even animating something. Probably not animating something, because that's with photo and video and design. Animation is not something that we are going to be preaching into in the next few months. However, that's not an impossibility that it could happen at some point. But I want to showcase a full array of branding services, from your name to your logo to your presence to how that presence is cohesively tied into who you are, for people to really see how you present yourself. And yes, I am an example of that branding. However, that's a separate thing because that is my other, that's another part of me that is just there, but it'll work. I think it'll work. I think it will be good. Then we are also gonna be designing some merch. I will have some merch for my personal training website and everything Misfit Vibes and all of that. However, we've decided that we're also gonna create some spooky stuff and some witchy things. There's gonna be stickers. There's probably gonna be a couple t-shirt options. I want to have a water bottle. I want to have, what else do I want to have? Maybe like a keychain. Things like that. Just spooky, vibey, very Halloween-y, because Halloween is a state of mind. It's not just a holiday, and I know a lot of people don't get it, and it's fine. You can have Christmas. It's okay. We will have Halloween all year round, okay? So, yes. And yes, website, photo, video, newspaper stuff, Twitch. I want to completely revamp my personal Twitch branding. I have previously purchased different themes for my Twitch and the transitions and all of that for the scenes when I go in. However, I want to make a new picture. I want to make a new banner. I want to make an intro video with most likely bloopers of me because I think that's fun. And I actually kind of want to incorporate something like this for taking a break aspect of the scenes versus just a resting kind of screen. I want to put a compilation of videos together that will show my personality while I'm on a break and while I'm about to start the video, so people have something engaging to watch while I'm not quite ready or I need to take a minute. And I want to provide those services as well, as far as branding on Twitch that goes to Facebook or anything where you need video, photo, banner, graphics, logo situation. So that ties into more of the branding things. And last but not least, I am also a writer. It's a struggle. It's truly a struggle. I do so many things, but I'm also a writer, and I will be turning a couple of my blog posts into a full editorial spreads to showcase InDesign work and potentially get more writing opportunities out of that, and maybe with a magazine that wants it to look presentable or whatever the case may be. So there are 6 main things. One of them does not require any work because I have a photo portfolio, thank Lord. But everything else, all the other 5 things require work, and one of them is creating a full website from scratch. So this is gonna be a very, very fun few months for me. And that's just one class, which is wild. And I am very, very curious to see how, in the end of it all, how it's gonna look. Right now it's just the overwhelming looming presence of all of it, and I feel like once it gets a little bit few weeks in and some things start happening and I see those things happening, I will be like, okay, like we're good. But generally I would say 1 is done, so there are 5 things. I can't spend more than 2 weeks on each, right? So once I start one thing, I need to do it and finish it within a week or 2 to really be on track with what I'm doing and what is happening to do this for me and help me out. Then number 3, as far as the outcomes go, I do not want to rely on Canva. I will still probably use it. I don't think there is a situation where certain things won't just be easier to do in Canva and quicker, and I can just whip it in T-1 minute. However, I want to fully, take full ownership over the things that I do create and learn how to do it properly in things like InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop, you name it, all of those things. I want to be able to do them the right way and really encompass the designer aspect of it all and just do it right. Just do it from scratch, do it right, do it good, do it well, and stop relying on Canva for my design needs. And last but definitely not least, and I think that's really what it is in the core of all of this, is I've always wanted to go into the creative path as far as education goes. And like many parents, my parents were like, no, you need to do something that will, that you can get a job and you will be set and you are going to be safe and secure and all of those things. And I did do that, and then that turned out not to be the case whatsoever, at least for me. Not as far as the security thing goes, as far as that path was not exactly the path that they imagined that would be. So I don't want to just be considered artsy. I want to be able to do it. I want to claim the title of an artist and a creative in a true sense of the title, and just embody it rather than just being like, yeah, like I'm a little weird and I'm just an artsy gal. Like, no, I make things, I create things, I draw things, I take pictures, I do all those things. And it's like calling myself a writer. Well, I haven't written things in a little while. We'll call it a little while, and you can take it with a grain of salt. It's been a minute. However, it does not make me less of a writer because I've written things, right? But it feels kind of weird to be calling myself that when I'm not actively producing work. And the same thing goes for the word artist to me. It's weird to be calling myself that when I'm not actively creating and making things. And I am very much hoping that these next few months are gonna be very, very big as far as changing that mindset and getting into the habit of creating things. And if the stars align and I get clients and everything's working out, really just doing it every day, waking up to create. And that will be honestly probably the biggest blessing that I can ask for, and I will be very, very happy with that. However, with all that said, we have 3 months of work to be doing, more like 3.5 months because we're 2 weeks in. So 3.5 months, we have so much work, but I think I got it, and I am beyond excited, and I am very, very excited to take you on this journey. And as we go, I'll be showing you more of the behind the scenes and the drawings and the process. And this is just more of the overview of what's going to be happening in the next few months on this channel, including, potentially doing a series on a weight loss journey, which I am currently pondering on and brainstorming and how I want to set that up. And just being in school as an adult and documenting that and sharing experiences that are directly connected to that. But that is basically everything I wanted to talk to you guys today about. So thank you so much for, again, clicking on this video. If you stayed all the way till this, thank you. I hope to see you in the next one. I hope that you're gonna come with me to this journey, on this journey, with this journey, all of the options. And I will see you in the next one. And do the things, do the like and the subscribe, and do the things, okay? You know what to do. So just do the things, So that supports me, and that makes me grow, that helps me grow, and that's just gonna be lovely. So yeah, I will see you in the next one, and hope you have a lovely day wherever you are. Okay, bye.